I'm Melissa and I'm back with another video. Today I wanted to do another tag video because I just recently saw that Sam from Thoughts on Tomes and Martinez from My Name is Martinez has been uploading a tag video that's called Get to Know My Taste tag. And so I wanted to do this tag because I haven't... It was a way for people to rediscover booktubers across the genres and smaller and bigger and whatever, to find out more booktubers with the same taste as yours, so where you align and stuff. And it's been difficult finding new booktubers. I have found some, but they're generally very large channels, and I like finding smaller channels to follow as well, because yeah, it do things differently, obviously. So as a small creator myself, it's important that you can find someone. Hold on, my cat. Hold on. Yeah, so I have a cat. She is will probably distract me in a lot of videos. She tends to do that. She makes her presence known constantly, so that's something you need to know. She is about 4. I think it's crazy to think that I've been living here for 4 years now. Where did time go? Anyway, in this tag, it's quite long. It has 15 questions, so let's get into it. I'll try and answer my questions as best as possible. First up is, how do you rate books? I use, obviously, a normal 5-star rating system, but I do use half stars in between. I rarely give out 1-star books because I tend to DNF books before I give a 1-star. Whatever. If I feel like I really don't like a book, I will probably more than likely just DNF it and not rate it or whatever. That's generally my norm. But also, I feel like a lot of the time, it's not me, it's not necessarily the book, but it's me that doesn't really like the book. So I end up, if I don't like a book, it's more likely that it's gonna get a 2 stars because I can see where someone else might like it, but it's definitely not for me, whatever, or something like that. That's basically my basic sort of thoughts about that. So 2 stars will happen more often than 1, but still, I hope that I don't get a lot of those type of ratings, because I do tend to DNF books. If I get that type of rating, more often than not, it's probably on audio, because audiobooks, if they're short, I can get through them quite quickly, and I'm like, okay, I'll just skip through this one, and then I'll mark it as read and probably not give it it's worse when it's like a book that I have to pick up and read myself. I would probably more than likely DNF it very quickly on, than if it's an audios. I can give a little bit more leeway before I decide to DNF a book. So that is something about that. But I give 3 stars to books that I think are just okay. They do nothing wrong, and they have sort of a middle of the road kind of book. For me, I mean, 2.5 stars is obviously average of the middle of a 5-star rating, but 2.5 stars, it doesn't get, I don't give that out super often, but 3 stars is usually what I put on a book that doesn't do anything wrong necessarily, but it's just not for me. I needed a little bit more from each and every component in this, basically. And sometimes it could be that I really loved an element or a part of section of this, but I disliked another section. That could also be a 3 stars. So 3 stars could be a little bit of a variety, but mostly they don't do super many things wrong. A 4 stars is when I'm generally just happy reading it. I pick it up and I have enjoyed my time with it. I mean, I speed through them a little bit faster because I enjoy picking them up. Yeah, it's definitely the rating that I give out the most if I enjoy a book. It would probably be a 4 stars that gets the most ratings, because usually I will sort of think there's something that's missing or something like that, and that makes it not a 5-star read. 4.5 stars is where I'm so close, but I still have something that leaves me from giving it a 5 stars. I don't give out 5 stars super often. 5 stars are usually some of my favorite books of the year. I have some series that I tend to give 5 stars quite a lot. But it's mainly because I enjoy the characters so much, and I enjoy the plot, and usually they just work together well, even though I know it probably won't be for everyone else. It's just because I've spent so much time with them at this point that it's difficult for me to rate it lower than that, if things are just working for me. So yeah, 5 stars will probably not be given out to super many books for me. So if I have a little thing that I don't like, then I'll knock half a star off. Yeah. But that's my sort of 2 cents about that. Question number 2 is, how do you approach reviewing your books? A favorite style, like analytical, emotional, casual, or structured? I sometimes, if I have a hard time, actually put a rating stamp on it. I will use the sort of co-pile system that a lot of people have been using on BookTube, where you sort of take all of these different factors into your consideration. If I have a hard time placing a rating on it, I'll run it through that and sort of, with that way, figure out, okay, this is my rating, I'm fine with that. And then usually it sticks with that. But otherwise, I definitely am a little bit more, if I enjoy a book, I'll probably give it a higher rating. Obviously, I don't go into the nitty little details about writing style or whatever. Obviously writing style can be super important, and it will probably factor higher and be likely to give me, for me to give a 5-star. But you know, it's not always like that. So I'm definitely more of an emotional reader, but I don't give out a tons of 5 stars. So I don't know how to say that, how to explain it completely, but a lot of the times I will say there are definitely books that I'm like, this is a book that I enjoy, but if you don't like it, I would understand it, because there are definitely books like that out there that I've read and I've really enjoyed that will work for someone, so many other people. But otherwise, I have some other ones where I'm like, I feel like I understand where I like something that the general public seems to like as well. And obviously, a lot of the time, I would sort of understand and give, like, when I like a book and I can feel like this is something that a lot of people would probably enjoy, because there are so many different factors that is in other books that seems very popular, then obviously I will obviously think that it's a more broader way, a high rating for a book that's for everyone, whatever. Question number 3 is, what's the book that made you a reader? And whether it was your first favorite or one of that got you hooked, what book started it all? I don't want to put a lot of focus on her, but I've said it before, the first book that I read from my own enjoyment and picked up to read was actually the 6th Harry Potter book. Not the first or whatever, but the 6th one, because I had watched the movies up until this point. And I read that and I got really invested in everything that was going on, and I wanted to know what was going on because my family had figured it out and stuff. So yeah, and then I reread all of it, and then I started my journey of actually really enjoying books that were set in public boarding schools, and books that were public, sort of paranormal stuff as well, fantasy stuff. I mean, that's that sort of genre, sort of delved more into that. It was a long way into that before I started reading romance, because I didn't think that I really would enjoy romance in itself, because I prefer having something else going on with it, because otherwise I'll probably get bored or whatever. That was my thinking at the time. So question number 4 is, do you have a genre niche, or there's certain genres you gravitate towards, or do you read widely across genres? I mean, you all know that I've been reading a lot of fantasy sci-fi stuff for a long for a long time, but I am definitely one of those readers that reads across a lot of different genres. I don't like it when I read too many of the same type of books at once, or over a stretch of time, because I prefer having a little bit of a different type of genres. Obviously, there are sub-genres in fantasy that could also be different, seem different to you, but I read right now it's evenly split between fantasy and romance, probably a little bit way over that with romance at this point. It used to definitely be like 60% fantasy, and the rest of the 40% would be divided between different genres. But now it's more evenly split between romance and fantasy, and then some sci-fi, some mysteries, and stuff like that. So I definitely don't think I have a niche in that way, but I read a lot of different genres, and that's what I like, sort of challenging myself with different genres and figuring things out and trying new things out to figure out if there's more that I need to discover, even though that's not necessary considering how many fantasy books there are out there. I would definitely be settled for a while if I just read fantasy, but I like reading a little bit of different things. I also read the occasional thriller and horror books, but I would say it's definitely, and classics as well, but it's definitely mostly first romance and fantasy, and then sci-fi and mysteries, probably on even terms. Mystery probably a little bit more right now, because I have a couple of mystery series that I'm reading through that I really enjoy, and so I pick up a lot of books from there. But those are the sort of genres that I generally read. So question number 5 is that, do you generally prefer character-driven or plot-driven stories? And I definitely... Ooh, that's difficult, because I do enjoy a series where there's a lot of plot stuff happening, action-packed things, but I'm definitely a character-driven book person. Robin Hobb is one of my all-time favorite fantasy authors, and she's definitely character-driven in her books, mostly, more than plot. I also have a lot of other books, but I like the good balance of the both of them, because I definitely need some of the characters to really speak to me in order for me to enjoy the book. If I only get the plot and I don't get any relations towards the characters, I would probably not give it a very high rating. I'll probably give it props for book world-building, pace and stuff, but for the characters will write down a lot of it. And yeah, so I definitely prefer if I have a good amount of characters that I can really root for and enjoy, and I like them. I like when authors are really good at making you understand, or at least not necessarily understand, but at least give some things for all of the different characters in the story, even villains, and give them more than just sort of more layers than just what you see in the beginning. So yeah. So question number 6 is, what's a book that you love so much that you don't care if other people don't like it? I don't know. I mean, Terry Pratchett is like, I would probably love him enough for everyone, but I don't know if I have a book, because he's not, people don't necessarily not like him, but Reaper Man by Terry Pratchett is my all-time favorite Discworld book, and I probably love it enough for everyone. I know the general consensus is that there's some of the other books in the Discworld that's the best, but for me this is my favorite of all of them, and there's just so many things that I really enjoyed about this book, and I've reread it since I read it the first time, and still love it so much. I don't know, I don't, if people told me that it was a bad book, I would just say no. I don't care, I love it. But I don't think that people will necessarily, I mean, if people don't like humorous books and stuff like that, that's not a genre they gravitate towards. They would obviously probably not have a good time with Terry Pratchett, because that's like a lot of his things that he was going for. But in the later books he has a lot more depth to the humor. It's not necessarily just satirical things happening all the time. It wasn't at this stage probably, but I definitely understand why some people would prefer some of the later books in the series as a favorite, but I have a lot of those on my favorite list. I have a ranking of the Discworld, so you've probably noticed it if you have delved into my channel at some point over the past couple of years. But yeah. Number 8 is, what's in your trash pocket? What books, tropes, or themes that you know are bad but you love them anyway? I don't know. I mean, I know that the T.L. Swan's books are definitely not good, but I enjoy them. At least some of them, but then there's some of them that I really dislike as well, so I don't know what to say about this. Also, since I've been rereading them a couple of times, and I start noticing more and more flaws and get more and more annoyed with them, so I don't think that's a good answer. I love urban fantasy things, but I don't always think that they're necessarily bad, but in terms of urban fantasy, it definitely has some stereotypical things that happens that is probably I would never consider for a love interest in the real world, but I don't care when I read urban fantasy. So there are just some things that I don't mind when I read a romance or read an urban fantasy book. But I know that if it was in the real world, I would never ever consider that being a good love interest for someone, because obviously no. But for the fun of it, for the entertainment value, I enjoy reading them. So I don't know if that's a good answer for this, but that's sort of where I land, I think. Question number 9 is, do you have any deal breakers in books? Something that if presented immediately turns you off from a book? I mean, okay, T.L. Swan again. There was like in a couple of chapters, and you find out they had sort of had sexual stuff happening, and then I found out that they were supposedly cousins. I was like, no, Barf, instant stop. And I know that they say I read the reviews, and later on you'll find out that they're not in fact cousins. They are sort of from different families, whatever. But that was a no-go. Even like, and that's also something that happened in the City of Bones, whatever. And that's also something that I didn't really like about that. So something like that doesn't work for me. If people are generally mean or bullying in romances, I don't like that either. Sort of in that way, bully romances would not work for me at all. I don't think so. Question number 10 is, what's a strong opinion you have about a book released within the last year, whether it's overrated, underrated, or just a take you need to share? I didn't read very many books last year that were new. That's my problem. Last year I didn't do book 2 very well. I only started in September again, after I've been gone for a long time, and I didn't read very many books that were published recently. Have I read anything since then? Because I've been reading some of the Goodreads Choice Awards books, and I just didn't like them. I was very disappointed with them both or all of them actually that I read. I'm currently working my through The Will of the Many, and I can definitely see myself giving this 5 stars once it's done, if it continues the way that it is right now. So in that way, I'm enjoying it, and I can definitely understand other people. So I'm on the hype train for that. But I don't know about. I mean, Somewhere Beyond the Sea. Is that what it's called? The second book in the T.J. Klune's. I forgot the series title right now. Why do I do this to myself? I love the first one, gave it 5 stars, and then I read this one, and it was just the same, but bad, but worse. And the audio narrator annoyed me so much in that one. I don't know, but I end up giving it 4 stars because I really like the characters, and I have a hard time reading it down because of the characters, the found family element and stuff like that. But I don't know why it was just not necessary. So I don't know why it won the Goodreads Choice Awards last year. That's what I want to say about that. Question number 11 is, what do you look for in writing? What makes a book stand out to you? Is it prose styles, themes, voices, structure, or something else? I don't know. I definitely don't like too flowery writing. It will probably, if I hate Laini Taylor's writing style. I really dislike it. And I don't like, there's another one that I remember not really liking very well either. But I do really enjoy like Catherine Arden's writing style. It's more atmospheric than it is sort of like that. And I really enjoyed L'Oreal King. I read The Beekeeper's Apprentice like very recently, and really enjoyed her writing style. And I can definitely see when someone are good at writing, and Robin Hobb is very good at writing as well. I think she has a lot of depth to her writing as well, without it being too lyrical. And I like it when it's done in a way that it sort of gets the good atmosphere. You can sort of feel it when you read the book. You can sort of sense all the things that she's describing and stuff. But I don't like it when it's too purpley and flowery, and yeah, it makes me more hesitant of stopping books, whatever. Question number 12 is, how do you decide what to read next? Do you plan ahead, mood read, or follow external factors? I have different things that I do. I definitely am a little bit of a mood reader, but at the same time I like having a set TBR for myself, so I don't have too many books to choose between. Then I have ideas for videos that will probably I would rather do them now before, yeah, so that I can get that idea out of the way before I lose interest in it, or lose interest in the reading process of it, because I'm hyped for reading this right now. But currently I'm doing a little bit of Monopoly to try and decide through some different books, and I'm also yeah, working through my series. I have a selected series that I'm working on over the year that I'm reading for a couple of books for every month. I have 4 books for that, more or less monthly, but they are all audios. So those are some of the ways that I decided. I have some long lists that I did in the beginning of the year with a lot of books that I was really interested in from different genres that I can pick between when I do the Bookopoly, and I can sort of try and select some of them out from that. And then I have get a little bit of new books and continuations and stuff. So that's probably my way of picking up books. I don't like if I don't like reading a certain type of genres at some point in time, I'll definitely not pick it up or whatever. So yeah. Question number 13 is, where do you get your inspiration for booktube content, and what sparks your video ideas, other creators, trends, personal reading experiences? I'm definitely very inspired by the other booktubers around. I would say I get a lot of inspiration from some of the Steph loves, from Gavin reads it all, Becca and the books. And then also Sarah from the Bookish Knitter has sometimes done something that I'm like, yeah, I really like to try this out as well. Obviously I have, so I tend to definitely get a lot of inspiration for video ideas from them. In terms of bookish inspiration of what to read, it's probably some other booktubers that will give me that, because they don't necessarily, the ones that I mentioned, I mean, some of them definitely read fantasy and the same books that I do, but there's also some of them that read heavily amount of romantasy, which I don't read a lot of. So I don't necessarily have to agree with and read the same type of genres in order to enjoy a booktuber. So I definitely tend to try and inspiration in terms of what to read, and new releases and stuff like that is probably more from some other bigger fantasy. I recently discovered, I don't know why it took me so long, but I recently discovered Literally Science Alliance, and I like that she reads a lot of sort of sci-fi books that I don't have a lot of booktubers that I follow that talked about that any longer, because a lot of the booktubers that I followed way back, they stopped doing booktube, which is I think the reason why this tag happened, because that was the same thing for Sam and Marinette. Yeah, that's I guess that's what I want to say about that. And what else? If you could make any book go viral right now, what would it be? I don't know. I also like having my books for myself sometimes. Actually, that it could be super fun if some Danish fantasy got viral. I mean, the Great Devil War series by Kenneth B. Andersen could be so much fun if that went viral or whatever. He has translated all of the books, but they're not available in a lot of. You can't get the physical copies of them very often, and you can't get an ebook on Amazon right now. You can only get them in audio form, so that could be a lot of fun. That would be honestly, that would make me so happy. So yeah, that's probably my take for that. So if you stumble upon these books, definitely read them. Who are some booktubers with reading taste similar to yours? I would say that Gavin from Gavin Reads It All similarly to mine. It is similarly to mine, because we've just been not always, but I mean, he's been reading through the Stephen King books in sort of publication order, which I did, and it's quite crazy how similar our thoughts about the books that we've been reading are. Our similar ratings and stuff. Their favorite books are the same, and I was very surprised about that. I didn't think that would be the same thing, but it is. And a lot of the books that he's been reading tends to fall into the category that I enjoy. So I don't know. I think that our taste aligns a lot for a lot of it. And then Shannon from Shannon Riddler, we definitely also have some overlinings. Do I have one else I would like to mention from this? The thing is, it's so difficult since there's not a lot of people left. But there's so many people that I used to follow that's not here any longer, and it would be much easier for me to say this person or this person. But it's not happening right now. I don't know. I can't really put a finger on who else has similar tastes as me. Also, more from books like War, we do tend to have similar, at least we read across so many different genres, both of us, and we tend to also enjoy some of the same books and stuff. We don't always agree on things, but a lot of the times we do. So yeah, I think that's what I want to say about this. Anyway, this was the last question for this tag. It was a little bit of a jumbled mess to me, so I hope it doesn't become too long, and I hope it doesn't sway anyone off. Because if you came to this channel, welcome. I do read a lot of different books and a lot of different genres, and right now I'm doing updates, weekly updates. I update my reading weekly. That's what I want to say. I'm a big Terry Pratchett fan. I'm a big Robin Hobb fan. Two very different authors. I'm a big urban fantasy fan. I really like Mercy Thompson books. Patricia Briggs and Jim Butcher. Those two are my favorite, all-time favorite urban fantasy authors. I'm hoping I find more and discover more new books. I've been so dying. I'm so dying. I don't know. I'm from Denmark. Sorry if my English today is not very good. My head is still a little bit weird after having been sick. I still have a clog in my left ear, which is a lot of fun for me. What I want to say is that I've been so interested in picking up the Malazan book recently, but I'm too scared to dive into it myself. So I've been looking for some podcasts, and I'll probably listen to that and work on it when I get it. So that might be something, unless someone would like to start a buddy reading thing with me and we could do a whole thing. That would be cool, especially if people have actually also read it. They could give extra thoughts. Yeah, but anyway, that's something I've been thinking about. Anyway, we went on a side tangent here. This is everything I have for you today. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.